on today?
All good, all good.
I'm in my PJs traveling.
Perfect. All right, we will get started then. Let's go like this and pin me and mute you. And record. All right, okay. Welcome everyone to this new way that we are doing Align and Allow. We're going to test it out for a little while and just see how it goes and what happens. We all experienced a little interesting shift with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp all being down earlier this week. And this has been something that's been on my mind for a little while. And now I'm kind of leaning into it more. How can we shift how we're doing things, move away from the social media platforms, or at least putting so much weight onto those platforms, and really change the way that we're doing things. Okay, how can I put myself as the main screen? Because that is important. All right, there we go. Okay, so today's episode of technical, setting everything up. Okay, we're good to go. Today's episode is something that I'm really excited about sharing and talking about. We are talking about mindset management, understanding the subconscious mind, and really tapping in how we can harness the subconscious mind for our aligned productivity. So we're going to be talking about three main concepts and faculties of the subconscious mind. I'm going to be sharing with you how they work, what they do on a day-to-day basis in our lives, and then how you can actually use them, how we can shift out of the ways that maybe they aren't serving you so much. And then of course you get your aligned action step at the end. So Align and Allow, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, is your mini weekly morning show, so to say. For those of you who are, in North America, grab your coffee, grab your tea. If you are joining us from somewhere else, maybe an afternoon tea or an afternoon snack. And basically we're diving into mindset shifts around how you can step into your aligned way of working, aligned productivity, with some tangible, actionable coaching tips as well, so that you can actually implement things just from these short, I like to say 20 minutes, but sometimes it's a little bit longer, but today's going to be short and sweet. So let's talk about the three faculties of the subconscious mind, what might be happening in your life right now, the way that these are being played out that aren't serving you so much, and then shifting into really harnessing the power of the subconscious mind, as I said, for your aligned productivity. So the first point that we want to talk about is that the subconscious mind takes everything personally. Okay. And the subconscious mind is 95% of our brains. The 5% is our conscious mind. It's what we're using on a day-to-day basis to make logical decisions, to have these interactions. The subconscious mind does everything beneath the surface. Okay. So it does the programming of what we believe we need to do, how we think we need to show up. It really regulates our routines and our habits. So everything that we do on autopilot, the subconscious mind is working all of that for us. And again, it's an amazing thing because we don't need to think about having to brush our teeth or which shoe we're going to tie first and remembering how to do it. Like, it just happens, right? So we love the subconscious mind, but a lot of the times we don't actually know how to use it because, again, it's such a big part of our minds. And then we're kind of just trying to force things in the conscious space, which again is only 5% of our brain. So when we understand how the subconscious mind works and how to use it, then we actually have a lot more access to how we're showing up and really being in charge and in control of how we want things to be playing out in our lives, right? So like I said, first point here is that the subconscious mind takes everything personally. So this means that our perception of things is also our projection of that. Okay, so I'm going to explain what this means in more detail. When it takes everything personally, our subconscious mind literally can't separate between what we say about someone else or what we say about ourselves. Okay, so what we project out, for example, judgment about another person or celebrating another person, doesn't matter what the energy behind it is. Our subconscious mind is literally taking all of that in as though we are saying it to ourselves. Okay, so with that being said, it's really important to be aware of what you're saying, right? And this, I think, is also really relevant to a lot of what happened earlier this week. And I got a lot of messages from a bunch of you from that email that I sent out about the blackout and about the anxiety and the stress that I suddenly recognized with not being able to have access to it, and how amazing that was. And that, there were other things coming up there. And in the messages and the responses that I got from a lot of you, it was about, these spaces are starting to feel resentful for me. Like I'm not enjoying showing up there. It feels stressful. It feels like things that I have to do. And a lot of it also came down to comparison in that space. Like so-and-so is doing this. It feels like someone's always launching something. It feels like this person is doing so much, or, their messaging seems to be working because look at how many responses they're getting, for example. And all of that is really underlying this first point, which is your subconscious mind is literally taking all of that in. So of course, saying those things, and we all know like comparison feels shitty and crappy anyways. Most of us are relatively aware of that. But to really understand what's happening, like why that's happening, and then what's happening on that subconscious level, which isn't just you saying that and feeling crappy about the fact that so-and-so is doing all these things and, now you're comparing, you're like, oh, I'm not doing all those things. But we're internalizing that to the point where the subconscious mind then creates that projection for us, right? So it's not only that feeling and that moment of, oh, so-and-so is doing this and I'm not, that moment of comparison, it goes deeper than that. And it starts to create this reality for us where this then is true. So if we're constantly comparing ourselves and we're constantly feeling behind and we're constantly saying these things to ourselves, for example, why are they launching? Why don't I have the energy to do that? Why can I never seem to get the ball rolling on things? Whatever your self-talk sounds like, we are then creating that reality for ourselves. And because the subconscious mind takes everything personally, it wants to show us that it's true then. And we'll talk more about that with point 3. So the way that we can start shifting this first point is by really, first of all, being super aware of what we're saying to ourselves. Okay. And this is not to be done with judgment. This is like we're showing up and we're saying, oh, okay, interesting. I was just, bitching about that person, or I was just comparing about how so-and-so did this thing. I was just, being really hard on myself right there, being really critical about the work that I did or didn't do, and just noticing for yourself, what are the words that you're using and how are you saying them? Like, what's the energy behind it? Is it harsh? Is it hurtful? Or are you creating space for yourself to give yourself grace? Does that make sense? So that's point number 1. And the first part to shifting it is being aware of it. Second point to shifting it, almost missed that one, is really starting to celebrate when something goes well for yourself and celebrate when something goes well for other people. So this is where this one is, I think, super important to mention and also just to be aware of, because sometimes when we say it about someone else, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter because it's about that person and it has nothing to do with me. But it does, because again, your subconscious mind is taking all of that in. And so when someone else posts something or is really successful at something that they do, or shares something with excitement, can you get excited for them? Even just a little bit, even just like, nice, like, way to go, like, cool. Because as soon as you start approaching it that way, you're going to start internalizing it for yourself that way. Again, your subconscious mind is like, oh, cool, we just did something great. Even though it was the other person who was just celebrating their win, you celebrating with them internalizes the feeling for the subconscious mind, internalizes the reality as though it's you doing that. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on to point number 2. Point number 2 is that the subconscious mind generates, stores, and distributes all energy. Okay, so this is really how to tap into using the subconscious mind to always have enough energy so that you can tap into the motivation and productivity that you actually want to be having. So again, talking about your aligned productivity, what does that look like? We don't want to be using the subconscious mind to be pushing through. To be honest, actually, when we're pushing through things, we're using the conscious mind, because we are consciously saying, okay, I need to sit down and we need to complete this entire to-do list. And we're expecting willpower to be the thing that drives us through that. Okay. And willpower is 1000% the subconscious mind. The conscious mind. The subconscious mind then is, understanding I have the power to distribute and organize and generate my energy the way that I need it to show up. Okay. So let's talk about this with an example, and then it'll make a little bit more sense. So the feeling of never having enough energy. Think about, for example, being a kid and your mom asks you to clean your room and you're like, oh, I just don't feel like it. Like, I don't want to. And then you procrastinate, or you lay on the couch, or you watch a show, or you are like, nah, I don't have the energy for this. Right. And then imagine a friend calls you up and they're like, hey, do you want to go get ice cream? And you're like, oh my God, ice cream sounds so good right now. Yes, I totally want to go get ice cream. Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, full of energy to go and meet a friend, which probably requires more energy than, spending 15 minutes cleaning your room, right? Does that difference make sense? Does that resonate with you as well in terms of maybe things that are happening for you in your life now? Like a friend calling you up and saying, hey, like, let's go get a drink, or, can I come over and we'll make dinner together? And you're like, that sounds like fun. Like, I had a super draining day, but suddenly that feels energizing to me, right? So basically what's happening is we have taught, and our subconscious mind has been taught from, how we've grown up, our conditioning around us, what is good and what isn't good in terms of what we can have energy for, right? So like cleaning your room, maybe doing taxes, having to go to like a parent teacher conference, like maybe there's things like that where you're like, ugh. And as soon as we have that ugh feeling, that is the exact like understanding that we can then have to understand, okay, that's what my subconscious mind thinks is bad. And therefore I'm not able to generate energy for that thing because I now have this conditioning that thing, isn't fun or isn't good. And the same thing is true then for the things that you love to do and you want to make energy for, right? It's like, I want to make time for this thing. I want to make energy for this thing. Okay. So the shift for point number 2, what it really comes down to is rewiring the way that you feel. And this essentially has to do with the process of energy management. And energy management is regulating the how. How are you showing up to something? And what we're doing when it comes to using this for the power of, harnessing your aligned productivity is shifting and retraining your subconscious mind around what is good and what potentially wasn't good in the past. So what are you showing up for? What do you want to be motivated for? How do you want to feel focused? And managing the how, again, in how you're showing up. How do I feel when I show up for this thing? Do I feel this ugh feeling? Or do I feel this feeling of like expansiveness or excitement, or yeah, this could be cool, or I'm going to learn something here, or like I'm curious to find out more. Like, how can we reframe a situation that we're in order to manage our energy? Does that make sense? We do a lot about this, or we dive into this in great depth in APA, in the Aligned Productivity Academy. There's a whole module on that. And of course, with one-on-one clients, we're constantly shifting these things, and it's a really powerful way, like I said, to harness the power of the subconscious mind, but we need to understand how we're using it, right? Okay. Point number 3, the subconscious mind wants us to separate identity from behavior. And the reason I say it wants us to do this is because the subconscious mind loves authority. It loves feeling that it can be led by someone who knows what's happening and who feels really strong in their power. Okay. So what tends to happen, and this is where we kind of link it back to aligned productivity versus toxic productivity, is we affirm certain identities for ourselves. Okay. So we say things like, I'm such a procrastinator, or I'm a perfectionist. I've always been a perfectionist, or something doesn't go our way, or we mess up public speaking, or we say something wrong in a meeting and we're like, oh, I'm such a loser. Like, why do I always do that? Any statement that affirms something. So I am doing this thing. I am this kind of person, is you taking that on as an identity. Does that make sense? So when we're saying those things, again, coming back to point number 1, the subconscious mind takes it on as truth. It can't separate what you say in that moment from, who you are. It's like, okay, this is true. Let's start to look for situations where this is true. And this is where this authority piece comes in. So the subconscious mind loves authority. It wants you to be very clear in this is how we do things and then follow through on those things. So this is kind of like a double-edged sword. If you're constantly saying I'm a procrastinator and then your actions continuously reflect that, you are giving the subconscious mind proof that this is true. And the subconscious mind in turn, it's kind of like this vicious cycle, is pointing out these places for you so that you can keep affirming this to yourself. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of like a little loop that's happening there. And then the same thing is true on the other side when we say, okay, I'm going to affirm the things that I do want and really be in an authority to my subconscious mind and say, I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. every morning because that is the kind of person I am. This is how we can use identity for something good. And I, finish work at this time. Again, sticking to those things so that you are being that authority with your subconscious mind. Okay. Coming back to this idea of behavior versus identity, though, what we really want to lean into, especially with the identities that we, don't really want to be taking on, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to completely shift my identity because it's a whole process. And to put that kind of expectation on yourself, we want to do it in steps, essentially. Okay. Make it really enjoyable and easeful for ourselves because that's going to help in the process, obviously. So instead of going from, okay, potentially negative identity of I'm a procrastinator to the positive identity of, I always, show up on time, or I do the work that is required of me and I feel good about it, or whatever that opposite side for you would be, we want to find that middle point, which is instead of taking it on as an identity, we want to see it as a behavior, and behaviors can be shifted. Okay. Identities can be shifted as well, but we want to be really clear that we're not affirming these as identities. We're just seeing them as something that we sometimes do, right? Like, yeah, I was kind of procrastinating today. That's an action as opposed to an identity of being a procrastinator. Does that difference make sense to you? Let me know. So basically what happens here is shame is a little bit of a perpetrator. We feel shameful about how we showed up potentially. And that is what leads us to take on these things as an identity, as opposed to seeing them as a behavior. So again, we're taking them on a very personal level. And then the subconscious mind is like, yeah, this is very personal. I am such a loser. And you're like, okay, let's start to point that out in my life. Not a helpful process to be in, right? So the shift here, again, is the subconscious mind wants to please you. Okay. It loves this authority. So let's make sure that we are affirming the things that we want it to be taking on and to be setting the standards for ourselves. So if you are finding yourself that you're very much in the identity zone right now, how can you move into the behavior zone? So when things come up and you say, oh my God, I'm such a procrastinator, how can you reframe that into a behavior as opposed to keeping it as an identity? Does that difference make sense? So I'm such a procrastinator then becomes, yeah, I kind of procrastinated today. And then I'm such a perfectionist becomes, yeah, sometimes I feel like things need to be perfect, but shifting it then, what do I want to have instead? But I'm practicing releasing that. Or I realize that showing up and enjoying the process is, the whole point. Or I'm enjoying experimenting in, the process of starting my business or in this new job. We're finding ways to take the pressure off of it being so intense, because that's what makes us want to lean into that shame, which then makes us want to affirm it as an identity. Let me know if that's resonating with you and is making sense. All right. Okay. So those are the 3 points. I was like, are we ready for another one? Those were the 3 points. What I want to give you as an aligned action moving forward is to identify which of these 3 subconscious mind faculties resonate with you the most. So I'm just going to repeat them again for you. Number 1, subconscious mind takes everything personally. Number 2, the subconscious mind generates, stores, and distributes all energy. And number 3 is separating your identity from your behavior with the focus on authority, because the subconscious mind loves authority. Okay. So think about which of these 3 would really impact you the most in your life. Which ones are like, yeah, definitely me affirming, certain identities, or I'm definitely completely like in this cycle of comparison. So how can I really become more aware of what is happening or like how I'm saying things in my mind so that I'm not taking things so personally, or I'm taking more positive things personally. Does that difference make sense? And then do the actual aligned actions, because we talked about the shift for each of these 3 points. Pick one of the 3 and then start to practice that for the next week. Okay, so until our next episode next week, just go through the one shift. So every time you're realizing, oh, I'm taking this personally, how can I reframe that? How can I celebrate that person? How can I practice distributing my energy in a different way, or shifting how I feel about this thing? So, I don't love doing taxes, but how can I see it as, okay, I'm going to learn something today. I'm open to learning, as opposed to, ugh, can this just please be over? Right? Like a very different energy. So pick one of the 3, lean into the shift, the aligned action that we talked about today, and commit for this next week. See how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. You can respond to the replay email and let me know. You can respond in the Facebook group still. It's still going to be up for a while. And then we will see each other again next week. There'll be some updates on what's going to happen in terms of how we're doing these. If you enjoyed getting the Zoom link, if you enjoyed kind of having it separate from Facebook, I would love to hear that feedback from you, because I think that it's really important that we are creating this together, that we're in this together, because if it works for you, then it's obviously going to work for me as well. So yeah, let's keep the conversation going. We're kind of in that transitional phase. So I appreciate you guys all being here with me through that, and having some grace with all of the tech things. And yeah, that is episode 14, I believe, harnessing your subconscious mind for your aligned productivity. And I will see you next time. Have a great day.